What's going on, everybody? Good late morning. Hope you guys are doing well. We have another weekly series to be introducing here. This is another one that's been going on for a while now. This is one that people have generally seemed to like and appreciate. So I brought it back as the years have gone on. And this might seem a little bit goofy right now, right? Because it's week one. We don't necessarily know enough to really get a grasp of this. But I like to do my best. I like to do my best to provide this video every week. So we're going to go ahead and start this week. And there are going to be games where I'm not really going to have a lot to say, but I'm going to do my very best to provide the rooting guide. And the rooting guide is basically, what do the Seahawks objectively want to happen in all games that the Seahawks are not playing in? Where can they seek out help? Where can they get a leg up based on the result of a game that has nothing to do with them? And sometimes the answer is very obvious, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes you have to really dig deep to find the edge that the Seahawks could get based on the way the game goes. Now, this is going to be my best effort to be objective. Maybe you're a Seahawks fan, but you hate the Tennessee Titans, and you'd never root for them to win no matter what. We're not talking about that. That's your business, right? We're talking about what is best for the team. And usually you can kind of figure that out on a pretty objective level. Now, I will admit that some of this stuff is going to be speculative. I'm not going to be able to get everything. And sometimes you don't find out about what you wanted to happen until it's hindsight. But I'm going to do the best I can. And we'll see where we end up landing. And it's a fun thing to do every week anyway. So some people are not going to be into this series until later in the season when we have a much better idea of what we want to happen. But I'll be working with the information we have the best that I can. And it at least gives us something to think about when we watch these other games. So let's go through the list one by one. The rooting guide, as I see it. Tonight, we've got Cowboys, Eagles, and I think there's a conventional wisdom here that we should always want the top teams. Like the Eagles are certainly a top team. You always want them to lose, but my perspective is a little bit different here. The Eagles are going to be really good this year. I don't see any way that they're not. I don't see any way the Eagles are anything less than a division-winning team this year. And I think that as a Seahawks fan, I kind of just want to let that happen. I'm thinking about the next tier. Not saying we have no chance of being as good as the Eagles. I'm not saying that at all. But there is a scenario where the Seahawks are not on that level. They're on the next level. And they're in more of a dogfight for a wild card spot. That is the scenario I'm more mindful of right now. And I'm telling you guys, everybody's dogging on the Cowboys right now, and I understand why. That offense should be very good this year. Dak Prescott is back. People forget how good Dak is. CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, even Brian Schottenheimer, who is in a great offensive mind. That should be a very good offense this year. That Cowboys team can absolutely compete for a playoff spot with a bad defense, which they will probably have, but that team is poised to, I think, be involved in the playoff race until the very end. So I'd rather they lose to not muddy the waters later in the season. I want them to go away, and I want them to take losses like this and push them down as much as possible. Before I go any further, I want to tell you about my friends over at Sleeper. If you're not using the Sleeper app, you are missing out. Take a look at all the great things you can do over there. Let's get to my picks for the week. My entry, I've got Dak Prescott as my free pick. He goes over 1 yard, then I'm good there. So we got Dak Prescott, at least 1 passing yard tonight. Jalen Hurts, 175 or more. I think that's going to be a shootout tonight. Dallas just traded their best pass rusher, and they acquired a run stopper for him. So I think there's going to be a lot of passing tonight. So give me the over. I have the under on Mahomes passing yards. I think that Chargers defense is going to make a big statement on primetime. And then Omarion Hampton, I have not getting into the end zone with a rushing touchdown in his first ever NFL game. So Go make your picks over on Sleeper. Use promo code SBN to get a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Friday, I got nothing. Chiefs, Chargers, whatever you feel like, whatever strikes your fancy. Just root for whoever you're feeling. I don't think, maybe there's a rooting interest here for the Seahawks, but I can't think of it. Sunday, obviously we're not talking about the Niners-Seahawks game because we all know. I don't need to spell that one out. But Buccaneers-Falcons. And this is where things are tough, right? It really depends on which of these teams you think will be better this year, and that is a subjective measure. Buccaneers-Falcons, conventional wisdom says the Buccaneers are going to be the best team in that division. I'm not so sure. I think Atlanta can be in there as well. I think Tampa and Atlanta are going to be fighting for it, and it's tough. What I'm going to say is that we play both teams, by the way, so there's no incentive for us to, oh, well, Tampa Bay, strength of schedule says we have to root for Tampa Bay or Atlanta. We play both teams. There's nothing like that. So this is kind of a coin flip right now. Again, this is kind of the issue with trying to do these videos early. But I'm going to say we actually want Tampa Bay to win because, again, in circumstances like this, I kind of prefer the teams that are going to win their division to just win the division. I don't want 3 teams competing for the division title in the last week. So that way, whoever doesn't win the division is there for a wild card spot, and all those spots get taken up. So I actually want to say I want Tampa Bay to win, but this is definitely one where you're kind of indifferent, and you'll find out in a few months what you wanted to happen. Bengals, Browns, I don't have much here. The only thing I can think of, and this is an angle that's easy to lose track of, if you want the Browns to become trade deadline sellers and there's somebody on that team you want, then you probably want them to keep losing. So I guess you would want the Bengals. Dolphins, Colts, again, it's thin, but the Seahawks do play the Colts this year, so strength of schedule would dictate we want the Colts to win. We want them to pack away some dubs. And they're probably not going to get many dubs this year, to be perfectly honest. So, sure, I guess we want the Colts to win. Raiders, Patriots, AFC on AFC. We don't play either team this year. I think this is another one where there just really isn't much of anything to say. I can't think of an angle here. So whoever you want. Cardinals, Saints, that one's pretty easy. The Saints are not a team that I'm concerned about this year at all. I'd love for them to steal a week 1 win against a division rival that, I mean, they're going to be involved, right? They may not be a great team this year, but I don't think they're going to be a terrible team. They're going to be muddying the waters. So let's root for the Saints. Would be a nice way to set Arizona off on the wrong foot to start the season. Steelers, Jets. We play the Steelers this year. We do not play the Jets. So on that front, I think we want the Steelers to win. And also, we play the Steelers week 2. And if the Steelers lose this game, I think that makes us winning in week 2 become that much harder. Because if a team coming off of a loss, unless they're just not a very good team, is going to be extra motivated to win the next game, I think. So I think we want the Steelers. Giants, Commanders. There's some buzz around the Commanders being a lackluster team this year, taking a big step back, and the Giants being the team that takes a big step forward. I am seeing that from some people. I'm not there. I think that Dan Quinn, with an extra year to get that defense right, is going to have something pretty good. So for me personally, I think that you would rather have... I still view the Giants as not being a big threat. I know they have that great defensive line. I know there are some fun things going on with that offense. I cannot take the Giants as a playoff contender seriously right now. So I'd rather them win and push the Commanders down a little bit because they're the team that I'm actually potentially concerned about. Now, we do play the Commanders this year. So strength of schedule would suggest the opposite, but I think in this instance, it's more valuable for the Commanders to have a surprising home week 1 loss. Panthers, Jaguars, AFC on NFC. You're pretty much always going to root for the AFC. We play both teams this year, so strength of schedule does not matter. So yeah, we want Carolina to lose. I don't think it matters that much, but objectively speaking, it's more valuable. Titans, Broncos. We play the Titans this year, so I guess strength of schedule dictates we want the Titans to win. But there's not a lot here. I can't really think of any angle beyond that, especially right now. So whatever strikes your fancy, but if you have to pick a side, root for the Titans. Lions versus Packers. This is, not the first afternoon game, but it's an afternoon game. Packers, Lions. It's, again, it really just depends on what team you think is actually going to be a big threat this year. I think right now there's a sense that the Packers are the team to beat in that division after the Micah Parsons trade, and the Lions are a big step back candidate because they lost their coaches. If you buy that, then I would say you actually kind of just want the Packers to run away with their division and bury teams like the Lions, because for the moment, until the Seahawks prove otherwise, I think it should be assumed, or at the very least prepared for, that they're going to be in the wild card race, and we want to protect ourselves from getting in a bad spot like we did last year, where we won 10 games, but we were still eliminated before week 18 even happened. So I think you want the Packers to win, but that one's kind of tough. That one's tough. It depends on your perspective. Maybe you think the Packers are overrated, and if so, you'd have a different perspective. Next afternoon game, Texans-Rams. I don't think I need to spell that one out. That one's pretty obvious. That one's pretty clear. Sure would be nice if Houston could help us out a little bit here. This is one of those games that could be like a pivot for the Rams, where this is the kind of game they need to find a way to win if they want to be good this year. And if this is the kind of game they're going to lose, that might be something that sets them back to the point where they don't win the division. So, very crucial game to watch there. Got Ravens, Bills. We don't play either team this year. AFC on AFC. Root for whoever you want to root for. Should be a good game, but I can't think of an angle here as a Seahawks fan. And then Monday, Vikings, Bears. I'm not sleeping on the Bears as a wild card contender. I think that Bears team could compete for the wild card. I really do. But I'm not so sure that it's a bigger threat than the Vikings. The Vikings, who I think took a big step back at quarterback this year, but you're still talking about a squad that has a great coach. They got great skill position players on offense. They went all in on building up that defense. There's a lot going on that is very likable on that Vikings team that should probably be viewed as a threat in the NFC to make the postseason. More so than the Bears, even though I'm not counting the Bears out either. I'm not saying I'm counting them in, but don't be surprised if the Bears take a big step forward this year. But I'm going to say we want the Bears to win, and hopefully that doesn't come back and bite us later. All right, so that's all the games for the week. I did the best that I could. I will grant you that it's probably not going to be perfect, but we try. Everybody have a good rest of your day. Remember, less than an hour, I'm going to be streaming with the Hawks Nest. Hope to see you guys there. Go Hawks. Exciting times. We got football tonight. Seahawks playing soon. Let's go. Let's go, people. Good times.